Run with Chestnut.
And we're here. We're here with Brandy Pinder. What's up, Brandy?
Hi.
You know, Brandy, you are the first outside person, sans my roommates, Andrew and Simon, to be in here. And the pressure is real. For me, not for you. You seem like an absolute natural at this.
Right.
We're here to talk about a couple things, Brandy. Mainly your profession and how you got there and some interesting things about massage therapy and how you found your way to that path. And then we're going to touch on a couple other things, some things we have in common, some athletic endeavors and goals and whatnot. And then we'll see where the conversation takes us. Sounds good?
Sounds good.
Cool. So, Brandy, you're a licensed massage therapist. At least I hope you are, because you were pressing on me about a couple days ago. So if you're not, tell me now. But why massage therapy? What got you there?
So when I was about 15, we visited one of my cousins in Idaho, and his wife was a massage therapist. And she did a little massage on me, and she was talking about her job. And I was like, oh, it sounds really rewarding and fun and active, because I was never one to sit around and do nothing. But then I went to college, got a scholarship in child development, got my BS, moved to New York, couldn't find a job during the recession. So I went back to school for massage.
How old were you when you moved to New York?
23.
23. What got you to move to New York?
So I was living in West Virginia, which was a nice place to live. But if you don't have a car and you're not going to get a car, you can't really get around.
You were blind at the time?
Yes.
Whole life? Or I actually don't know this about you. We've known each other for 7 years.
So I started going blind probably when I was 5 or 6 from uveitis, from the rheumatoid arthritis. But they didn't catch on until I was about 8.
Okay.
And then it just went slowly from there.
Huh. Okay. And so you moved to New York.
Right. Because I couldn't really get around West Virginia independently. That was before Amazon, Instacart, Uber. So I went to guide dog school, met someone who had an uncle who had a private house in Queens and lived alone. And I was like, do you think your uncle would rent to me? And she's like, no, he won't rent to you. He's so used to living alone. You know, I used to live in the upstairs apartment, but I moved out and blah. So I asked him how much he would charge for this 3-bedroom apartment. Small, but still 3 bedrooms. And he said $500, and he'd love to have someone live there. So I figured that was my sign to move there.
Wow. That's pretty. I mean, imagine, did you know people in New York City?
No.
So you just decided like
Yeah.
New York seems like an accessible place.
Right.
I'm just going to pull up roots and move to New York.
Yeah.
What are you feeling? Like nervous,
At the
excited?
time, I was excited. Looking back on it, like if I did something like that now, I think I'd be scared.
Yeah, I'm thinking to myself, like I'd be worried. Like,
Or looking back on it, I'm like, I should have been scared, because I literally was just like, okay, I'm gonna go get on the 7 train with no subway mobility training, nothing, like just my guide dog.
yeah. When did you get your first guide dog?
I actually got my first guide dog when I was 13.
Wow. Okay, so that's a little more uncommon, right? To get it that
Correct.
early.
Yeah, and I actually, after doing it, I don't recommend it.
Tell me why.
So, I mean, I was responsible and could take care of a dog because I'd done it my whole life. But the school environment is very stressful on a dog because there's so many distractions and garbage and food and things. And my biggest problem was actually teachers, because they were like, I want to pet your dog. And I was like, no. And they're like, kind of like, but they're allowed to do what they want because they're the teacher and I'm the student. So,
Wow, so teachers would
stressful.
try to pet your dog.
Yeah.
Even though, for those who don't know, if a dog's working, right, if it has its harness on, then you're not supposed to pet it.
Right.
Wow. Okay. So how old do you think people should be when they get their first dog?
I think 16, 17 is good.
And is that just more you're able to advocate for
Right.
yourself
Yeah.
and your dog?
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. So then you had a dog when you came to New York.
Right.
What were the first few months of living in New York? Brand new city, didn't know much about New York. What was that like?
It was exciting because I could get around. There in West Virginia, we didn't even really have sidewalks anywhere. So
wow.
kind of you had to have someone who could see, kind of show you the route.
Mm-hmm.
And where's the safest place to walk with the least traffic and a shoulder. And whereas in New York, you could just essentially like get up and walk anywhere because there's sidewalks and It's mostly walkable. Got involved with like the guide dog users of New York and made friends pretty quickly.
I get a lot of people who ask me how accessible New York City is, thinking that because it's really busy, it's not accessible at all.
Right.
But I mean, you tell me if you disagree, but I think New York's one of the most accessible places in the world, right? At least for people who are blind and walking around in a grid shaped city. And, you know, so then how long after that did you go to massage therapy school?
So I started looking for work in teaching, and of course, the rules in West Virginia for teaching are different than New York. So they're like, you're going to need more school if you want to do pre-K. I applied to Hunter. I got in, but then for grad school, none of the classes were available. There wasn't enough students signed up. The financial aid everything kept going wrong. So after a year of doing no school, no work, I was like, that's it. I'm going to go check out massage school. So on August, like the beginning of August, I went to Swedish Institute, figured out how to apply. And by the middle of August, I was in massage school.
August of what year?
2010.
Nice. Okay. And were you the first blind student that they had?
No, they had actually had a lot. So they already had a system in
is
place.
that a common thing for blind people to do massage school?
Yep.
Is it really? Okay.
So they already had they had student assistants that would they get paid, but they'd kind of help you out in class with the tactile stuff. They would also take notes, but I like to take my own notes.
Yeah. What did you take notes on? A Braille note or computer?
At the time, it was the PackMate.
Oh, yeah. PackMate. All right. Give me some ideas of what accommodations or, how did the school adapt the material to make it accessible?
So a lot of it was like for anatomy, they would show a lot of pictures, but for me, they would kind of show me the skeleton. They would give me individual bones. They actually had cadaver bones from real bodies.
Wow.
And they would let me take them home. So I'd be on the subway with a trash bag full of
bones, actual bones. Oh my goodness.
If I get stopped, I have a lot of explaining to do.
Wow.
How else did I had like a group of students that would always help me study. We'd study together and they'd make like tactile diagrams of stuff if I needed it. Like I said, the school provided an assistant. So when we would do massage classes and the teacher was doing a demo, the assistant would do the demo on me.
Okay. So like massage demo.
Correct.
Oh, okay. And how long is massage school?
At the time, full time was 16 months. And you had 2 weeks between each 16-week period, because in New York, you need 1,000 hours of practical and hands-on work within a certain amount of time.
And is that any different now?
I've heard that now it's actually 20 months instead of 16.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But I don't know if there's more breaks or if it's the same.
Was it pretty seamless? Like, obviously, you told me about the accommodations and stuff and learning material, but once you started actually going from learning to giving massages to people, how did that process go?
It was pretty seamless. You have to take a test. So I had accommodations for that. Someone read me the state test. Getting a job was a little bit difficult, as it is when you're visually impaired in most fields, unfortunately.
Yeah. Tell me about that. Like, how was the job search? How long did it take you? And
so
give me some stories.
Actually, luckily, only took a few months, only because so there's an organization called Visions that helps people with visual impairments get a job, and they actually pay the person. So where I work now, Bronx Wellness had just opened. So they had no money, and they're like, oh, free labor. Okay. So he hired me, liked my work, even though he was skeptical at first, and then ended up keeping me. But before that, I had interviews, and there was 3 in particular that stand out. One of them, I gave the massage demo. Of course, I'm nervous because I'm new and it's a job interview. And they're like, well, that was pretty good, but I always thought blind people would give better massages.
Oh my God, wow.
Then another one was, well, how are you going to take your client from the waiting room to the room? You can't make eye contact. It's like, I don't know. I didn't know I needed eye contact to talk.
Right.
And then the other one had an issue with the guide dog.
What do you think are the most common misconceptions of a blind massage therapist?
I think the most common is like, I thought you'd be better, or I thought you guys had like a sixth sense for, like we're born to be massage therapists.
Well, we blind people can just like sniff out the pain
Right.
in your
And
body.
find it better
That's insane.
than,
Really?
yeah.
I
Cause
can't believe people actually like
I even had
believe.
clients say that. Like,
Really?
I mean, now I've actually become a very good massage therapist,
Right,
so
right.
they don't anymore. And now I wonder if they think I'm just that good because I'm blind.
Right,
I
right,
don't-
right. I always thought it was the blindness, Brandy, not the skill, to be fair. Wow, okay. Give me some challenges. Like right now, having done this for so many years, what are any challenges that you have now? And maybe did you have different challenges when you first started giving massages to people?
A lot of the challenges at the beginning were like the note taking and putting stuff into the chart. Now it's all electronic, which is
Mhm.
actually easier because before our computers at work didn't have screen readers or anything. So I do it on the iPad, but then have to figure out how to print it out from there. Now we use software that keeps everything. I mean, really, right now, because I've been where I've been for 12 years,
Yeah.
there's really no challenges that I run into on a regular basis.
Do you know most of the people that you get as clients, or are they?
Yes.
The turnover rate's pretty low then. Like,
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I've had some clients for the whole 12 years. They
Wow.
come every other week. Some come once a month. Like a lot of them I've had at least 5 or 6 years. And then I see like 3 or 4 new people a week, probably.
What's your if you meet someone who's visually impaired or blind, and they're like, I'm thinking about massage therapy school, kind of like our mutual friend and one of my roommates. What advice would you have for them? Like, don't do it at all. Do it. What would you tell them?
Do it, but do it for the right reasons. Because I've actually known a couple of a couple of blind people who just do massage because they think, oh, it'll be easy for me to get hired, or it's an easy job, and it's not an easy job. If you enjoy it, it is an easy job.
Yeah.
But you have to enjoy physical work. You have to enjoy helping people. You have to understand, like, one of the blind people that I know that became a massage therapist, they're like, well, I didn't realize that, hygiene would sometimes be an issue, or I have to touch all kinds of people. I'm like, well, yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So they're looking at it as the employable thing,
Right.
not the I want to actually help people.
Any port in a storm.
Right.
Massage therapy is not any port in a storm. It's like you gotta actually want to do it. I feel like most jobs, right? Like
Right. And I feel like our massage class
Mhm.
started with like 60 people because
Yeah.
everyone is like, oh, this is so easy. I know it's going to be. By the second semester, we had 40.
Oh wow.
By the time we graduated, we had like 18 because people realized it's not. And it's not because they failed. It's just, okay, I don't like this, or it's not as easy as I thought. Or
Yeah. What's like the slang word for massage? Like if I were a massage therapist, which I'm obviously not, I'd be like, because like, okay, a t-shirt printer would be like, I'm going to go press on some shirts. That's the slang, right? I'm going to go
Right.
press on. Do you say like, I'm going to go press on some people? Do you ever say that? Is that weird?
I haven't said that one.
All right.
I'm
gonna go put my elbow in
and
someone's
some
back.
people were, we've used that one, or like, where's my next victim?
Your next victim. All right. When you're not on your next victim, what do you do on the day to day? What do you enjoy doing?
What do I enjoy doing? Well, I enjoy working out, mostly cycling,
Yeah.
some swimming, some running, reading, and eating.
Well, we all love eating. I don't know if you remember this, Brandy. The first time you and I met, it was my first time attending an Achilles triathlon workout. And it was at Engineers Gate on the benches closer to Fifth, right? So like where the tandems used to meet.
Right.
And I had just gone on my first ever tandem bike ride in my life with Roy. And I didn't know that bikes were supposed to lean going around turns or ever. And so I had probably the most scariest experience of my life at that time, just getting brought very gently around this park by Roy. And he probably thought I was the biggest baby because every time the bike would slightly lean, I'd be like, oh my God, we're going to crash. And we get off the bike and Roy's like, oh, thank goodness he's off my bike. And I go sit down and you were right next to me. And I'm like, Brandy, I don't know if I can do this. Like, this is so scary. And you're like, I forget exactly what you said, but it was basically something on the lines of like, suck it up. You remember this at all?
So sadly, I don't remember it, but you did tell me it. a couple of years ago. You said, I said, you'll get over it.
Yeah. You'll get over that. That's right.
I was like, wow, I'm really mean.
Yeah. We both do this thing called triathlon. Why do you do triathlon? Why do you bike? What do you get out of it?
I don't know. I ask myself that every single time I do a race. No. So in 2017, maybe the end of 16. Because 17 was our first Montauk race. So it had to be 16. I went to cheer for a bunch of the Achilles athletes and I was like, I'll never do this. This is dumb. And then as I'm cheering, and a lot of people have this story for cheering for the marathon, triathlons, whatever, I was like, I gotta do this. This looks like so much fun. And of course, when I do, I guess we keep doing it because you feel accomplished. You know what you could have done better, should have done better. You want to get better. So you just keep doing it.
Do you have any on the horizon?
Just a half Ironman.
Just a half Ironman, just a casual.
Yeah.
Is this your first half Ironman?
It is.
That's pretty exciting.
It is exciting.
I hope we take a large group with many victims for you to demolish and dismantle to potentially Galveston, Texas. Simon, one of my roommates who's been on this before, he's done one-ish or 1.5 half Ironmans, almost 2 half Ironmans, I think. Andrew's never done one. And so Andrew's going to be Simon's victim. And so we'll find you a victim.
You're going to find me a victim.
Because, you know.
An achievable victim.
An achievable victim. Because all races are more fun with victims.
Right.
I feel like our conversations, while you're pressing on me, as they say, it ranges pretty wide, right? We talk about all different kinds of things. What are the conversations like when you're doing massage with someone? Like, is it a common theme?
Yeah, well, you kind of become a therapist at the same, like a psychotherapist at the same time. Like, you hear people talk about their spouses. Sometimes I massage both spouses, so I get both sides. Both sides of the argument
of why the dishes weren't washed the night before. Yeah.
Of course, I pretend like I don't. I don't know anything. We talk about, oh my gosh, a lot of my female clients in their 30s and 40s are on multiple dating sites. We get to talk about those nightmares.
Nice.
I'm happy to report that like 3 of them that have been on these crazy websites for 6 years are now married and have babies on the way. So,
with people that they found on these
crazy sites.
Okay.
Right.
So they do work.
So it does happen, yes. Okay. So we talk about that. And then, they ask about my races and all that. So it ranges.
Have you ever had any really bad experiences massaging someone?
There's only been 2.
Yeah. That's out of the years
yes.
of you doing it. 2 is, I mean, obviously we wish it was 0, but 2 is not bad.
But 12 years, 2 is good.
You want to talk about either one of those 2?
So one of them is just a very simple, like, the poor guy was a chef. He worked 16 hours a day. He didn't have time to go home and shower.
Oh, okay.
So he smelled like kitchen and bad feet.
Uh-huh.
And of course, he wanted his feet massaged because they hurt. And the other one was someone who another therapist had said was being inappropriately perverted.
Oh, geez.
So my boss, being my boss at the time,
it was like, throw him to Brandy.
That's exactly what he did. And now I'd be like, no, we're just going to believe so-and-so. But, this was 12 years ago. I wanted to keep my job. I was like, okay. And I was like, no, he's a pervert.
Oh, geez. Okay. Have you ever had to fire a client?
One, but she has somehow gotten back on my schedule. Basically,
oh, really?
Usually it's from some client, well, not some, a lot of clients book like every week for 6 months out because I get booked quickly. And she would do that, but then she would no-show to all of her appointments.
Oh, geez, okay.
And it's like, okay, someone else could use that slot. And for those of you who don't, I mean, we do try to charge those who no-show, but basically if a massage therapist doesn't work, they don't get paid. We work on commission. So I fired her. She's also quite racist, so some of our conversations were uncomfortable. So that's why I fired her. But she's
kind of slightly racist, maybe.
Right.
Okay.
But somehow she's made it back onto my schedule and is still, mostly not showing up. But other than that, no, I haven't had to fire anyone.
Is there any difference massaging someone who is blind themselves versus someone who's not?
Interesting.
Like, does it put you at ease knowing that I'm not like staring at you while you're putting me through lots of pain?
It kind of, so for the people I know, I guess it doesn't make a difference. But say like someone recommends a new client to me,
Mhm.
I'd probably feel more comfortable getting a blind client than a
Yeah,
sighted
yeah.
a new client.
That's fair. Okay, interesting. Yeah, yeah.
Because I guess, it's partially, they're not like looking at you weird or anything.
Yeah.
But B, they're not thinking about your blindness.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
What are your goals coming up, Brandy? What are you trying to do in the next 12 months? Professionally, personally, athletically, anything?
Finish the half Ironman alive.
That is,
and semi-conscious.
those are awesome criteria. Alive and semi-conscious.
Right. I don't even have to be fully conscious.
Right. But just semi-conscious.
Just
Not
know
just-
that I
okay.
crossed the finish line.
That perfectly said.
Professionally, I'm pretty happy right now. I mean, eventually I do want to get more private clients, but with the half Ironman training, I'm kind of happy with the amount of private clients I have.
Yeah.
And the amount of work I have. And personally, I'm pretty good too.
Cool. Well, Brandy, we're excited to track your progress over the next 7 months. We're going to line up some victims for you, and you're going to tackle them and demolish them one victim at a time. Semi-consciously. All right, Brandy, thanks for coming on.
There you go.
All right, later.